This beautiful Disney story and inspirational art is not from Pocahontas, and yet it's part of the story of Pocahontas. Hello, I'm Charles Solomon. I'm an animation historian. Around 1994, I visited the Disney Animation Research Library while researching my book, The Disney That Never Was. There, I was surprised to come across this extraordinary group of images. They were from a long-lost and long-forgotten project of Walt Disney's, Hiawatha. Hiawatha would have been based on the Song of Hiawatha, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's epic poem, first published in 1855. By the time Walt Disney was a schoolboy, the poem was considered a classic, and he certainly would have read it in English class. It clearly made a strong impression on him, as he would come back to it again and again. In 1937, he produced a silly symphony that spoofed the poem called Little Hiawatha. But Walt had bigger plans for this material. In the late 1940s, he assigned writer and art director Dick Kelsey to begin working on a feature-length film version. Kelsey was joined by story artist Bill Cottrell, who would later be known for his work on Zorro. Together, with input from other Disney artists, they developed storyboards for an entire feature. But in 1949, after several rounds of development, Walt shelved the project. This was before the release of Cinderella, when the studio was in a tight spot financially, and Walt had to limit the number of projects he could develop. He may have planned to revive it someday, as the Native American elements in Frontierland at Disneyland suggest, but he never did. However, that's not the end of the story.
Hi, I'm Eric Goldberg. I co-directed Pocahontas with Mike Gabriel. When Mike and I were planning the film, we heard that Walt had developed a movie with Native American themes. So we went off to the Animation Research Library to take a look at some of the artwork, and we were blown away. This was a treasure trove of visual ideas and imagery. Some of the elements that inspired us and our art director, Mike Giamo, were the character details and relationships, the use of non-realistic color for emotional value, and the way nature itself takes on a spiritual dimension through very graphic stylization. Now today, it's my pleasure to share with you the first time this long-lost project has been reassembled in more than 60 years, the story of Walt Disney's Hiawatha. We fade up on the sunrise over Lake Superior. A scout looks out across the water. He sees something and runs to tell a great chieftain, none other than Hiawatha. What he has seen is a boat carrying a black-robed white man and his guides. At the lakeshore, Hiawatha greets the stranger. Hiawatha tells the stranger of a vision which foretold his coming. He says, "When the white man arrives, it will be time for me to go on my last and final journey." And with that, Hiawatha departs. As he paddles off in the setting sun, the stranger asks, "Who was that wise man? I should like to know more of him." Hiawatha's people thus begin telling the stranger his story. Before Hiawatha was born, it was a time of intertribal wars. Smoke from the wars goes up to the heavens, where the great Manito, master of life, appears. He is not happy to see them fighting. He calls all the tribes together, the Mohawks, Comanches, Dakotas, Blackfeet, and more. They stand in their war paint, glaring at each other with hatred. The great Manito tells them, "Cease your wars and live in peace, and you will prosper. If you fail, you will destroy yourselves. To help you and guide you, I will send you a prophet." We dissolve to a star shining down on the shores of Gitchigumi, where we behold Nokomis tending her baby, Hiawatha. Next, we dissolve to Hiawatha as a young boy. We see him walking through the forest, a friend of all the birds and animals. We transition from Hiawatha as a boy to Hiawatha as a young man, showing off his skill in archery. He's also skilled in other pursuits, including fishing, returning home with a fine catch of fish for Nokomis. Nokomis tells Hiawatha he must hurry to the chief's lodge house. There's trouble. At the lodge, Hiawatha learns from the elders that the Sioux are encamped in the territory of the rice field. Our food supply for the winter is in danger. If they mean to take the rice, there's only one answer: war. Hiawatha suggests that instead, they send a small party to make a peace treaty. Hiawatha himself will lead the party. As they approach the Sioux camp, they see they are already harvesting the rice. The camera focuses on one of the harvesters in particular, the beautiful Minnehaha, who sings a work song. Minnehaha locks eyes with Hiawatha. It's love at first sight. The Sioux chief threatens Hiawatha, but still he bravely proposes that the two peoples share the rice crop. However, Hiawatha's deal fails when his own chief will not agree. Back at the lodge house, the war council makes plans for an attack. But Hiawatha has not given up on a peaceful solution. He will go on a quest to find the great Manito. Hiawatha walks alone in meditation for days. Then, with the setting sun, a vision appears.
I am Mendamin, the spirit of maize. Follow me and I will take you to the Lost Valley, where you will find the answer to your prayer.
Hiawatha follows a strange glow over swamplands, across deserts, over waterfalls, and through dense forests. Finally, he arrives at the Lost Valley, which is brimming with golden maize, corn. This food can sustain his people through the long winter. We cut back to the camp. The war frenzy is building. Hiawatha appears with a bag of golden corn. Hiawatha's chief refuses to believe that the corn will feed the people and continues planning for war. We see a montage of Hiawatha harvesting corn, intercut with the building of bows and arrows. Hiawatha throws the corn at the chief's feet. He says, "It is stronger to make peace with an enemy than to win a war of revenge. In our hands is the power to build an everlasting peace. With this grain which the Manito has given us, let me go in peace to the Sioux." Hiawatha goes to the Sioux, who are also prepared for war. He tells them of his vision and the gift of the Manito. He presents them with the corn. The Sioux chief recognizes the importance of a new source of food and agrees to a peace treaty. He tells his junior chieftains to announce the peace throughout the land. As the messengers leave, Hiawatha hears Minnehaha's song. She tells him she is happy. There is peace and love between their peoples. Hiawatha says, "The greatest gift the Manito has given us is love." A romance sequence follows, showing Hiawatha and Minnehaha in beautiful natural landscapes. Hiawatha sings his love song to Minnehaha, and all the birds and animals gather to hear it. Winter approaches, symbolized by the north wind Kabibonaka, swooping down, leaving snow and ice in his trail. Inside the lodges, everyone is warm and well fed with the baskets of corn. Hiawatha proposes to Minnehaha. She accepts, saying, "I will follow Hiawatha." Messengers spread out across the land to invite everyone to a wedding feast. At the feast, there's dancing and singing. This musical sequence goes into a montage that takes us through many years of happiness. One misty morning, a small girl visits the house of Hiawatha with grave news. Her brother is sick with plague. Hiawatha rushes to see the boy and finds that he has died. The medicine men do a dance to try and rid the village of evil spirits, but the spirit of death continues sweeping through the village, carrying away victims, including the chief. Old Nokomis, Hiawatha's mother, points out beyond the horizon. "Beyond dwells the great pearl feather, mightiest of magicians, guarded by his fiery serpents, guarded by his black pitch water." She tells him that the evil pearl feather is responsible for this plague. Suddenly, Hiawatha hears Minnehaha call for him. "Hiawatha! Hiawatha!" He turns to see the mist of death come down on his own lodge. He runs as fast as he can and finds Minnehaha stricken and gasping. Hiawatha and Nokomis tend to Minnehaha in her fever. She says she can see her ancestors. "No, my child," Nokomis says. "'Tis but the smoke of the fire which looms before you. But there is nothing they can do." Minnehaha crosses over into death. Hiawatha cries out that he will join her soon. We dissolve to Hiawatha setting out on a mission to destroy Pearl Feather. First, he defeats his fiery serpents with his skill in archery. Next, he paddles through the swamps into Pearl Feather's lair. Hiawatha challenges Pearl Feather to battle. They have an epic fight. Neither can defeat the other. Pearl Feather says, "You cannot kill me, O Hiawatha, for I am immortal." At that moment, a woodpecker flies down and whispers to Hiawatha, "To kill the great Pearl Feather, you must strike at the roots of his tuft of hair." Pearl Feather lifts a giant boulder to crush Hiawatha. Just then, Hiawatha pulls the last arrow from his quiver and aims right where the woodpecker told him to. With a mighty rumble, Pearl Feather drops to the earth, dead. In Hiawatha's village, the death mist melts away. As the sun comes out, we dissolve back to the black-robed stranger and old Nokomis, gazing out over the horizon, and we see Hiawatha far in the distance in a glorious scene of golden sun rays. And so ends the story of Hiawatha.